ever stop and think about the fact that you are basically a walking, talking universe? I mean, right now, you're made of trillions of tiny, microscopic cities, all working together. Well, today, we're going to take a tour of one of those cities. Let's dive right into that secret world inside you, the human cell.
So, what are these things? What are these little building blocks that when you put them all together make you, well, you? As you've probably guessed, it's the cell. That's where it all begins. All right, so for the first part of our tour, let's just get our bearings. We're going to start with what a cell is, and then we'll take a quick look back at how we even discovered this incredible world in the first place. To put it simply, the cell is the smallest possible thing that we can actually call alive. It is the absolute ground floor. And think about that for a second. Every breath you take, every single thought you have, your heartbeat, all of it, every last bit of it starts right here, at the cellular level. It's kind of mind-blowing. And you know what's wild? We've only known about this stuff for a relatively short time. It all kicked off way back in 1665. Robert Hooke was looking at a piece of cork under a really basic microscope and saw these little boxes he called cells. But it took almost 200 more years before a couple of guys, Schleiden and Schwann, came up with the official cell theory. And then Virchow added the final, crucial piece to the puzzle. All cells have to come from other cells. Now, not all these cellular cities are designed the same way. You've got your simple ones, the prokaryotic cells. Think of bacteria. They're kind of like a small village, just the basics. But then you have the ones we're interested in today, the eukaryotic cells. These are the ones that make up our bodies. And they're not villages, they are sprawling, complex metropolises. And the big difference is they all have a central command center, the nucleus. And even in our own bodies, these cities are super specialized. The shape of the cell tells you exactly what its job is. I mean, look at that nerve cell. It's long and branched out because its job is to send signals, like a communications network. And the red blood cell? That little dimple in the middle helps it pack in as much oxygen as possible. The long tube-like muscle cell is built perfectly to contract and give us movement. It's just incredible design. Okay, tour's about to get real. We are officially entering the cellular city. And just like any big city, this one has some serious border control. So let's meet the gatekeeper, the cell membrane. Now, don't picture some boring brick wall here. The cell membrane is super thin, it's flexible, and it's always active. Think of it more like the city's bouncer, security force, and customs agent, all rolled into one. It's deciding who gets in and who gets kicked out. And this gatekeeper has a ton of responsibilities. Yeah, it protects the cell, for sure, but its main job is to keep everything inside perfectly balanced. It's selectively permeable, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a really, really picky bouncer. It lets the good stuff, like nutrients, in, and it gives waste the boot. It's even got these little antennas, called receptors, that listen for messages from the rest of the body. We're through security. We are now inside the bustling metropolis of the cell, where all the magic happens. Let's go check out the city's power plants and its biggest factories. So, we're in, and everything we're about to see is just kind of floating around in this jelly-like stuff called the cytoplasm. This is the city's actual environment. It's the streets, the ground, the air, where all the buildings are and all the workers do their thing. First stop, and it's a big one, probably the most famous part of the cell. If you remember literally one thing from biology class, it's probably this. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And oh man, does it earn that nickname. The whole job of the mitochondria is to take the food you eat and turn it into the cell's universal energy currency, this tiny molecule called ATP. Just think of ATP as the electricity that powers the entire city. Without it, everything grinds to a halt. The factories shut down, the gates close, the city just dies. It's that important. Okay, we've seen the power plant, so now let's head over to the industrial park. Our next stop is this huge, sprawling network of membranes called the endoplasmic reticulum, or, just the ER for short. This is where the city actually makes stuff. So the ER has two different divisions. You've got the rough ER, and it's called rough because it's covered in all these little dots called ribosomes. Its main job is to crank out proteins. Then you've got the smooth ER. No dots on this one. Its job is making fats or lipids, and also cleaning out any nasty stuff to detoxify the cell. So if the ER is the factory, then those little ribosomes we just mentioned are the workers on the assembly line. And this next thing, The Golgi apparatus is basically the city's post office and shipping department. It's a totally seamless operation. And here's how the whole production line works. The ribosomes build the proteins from scratch. Then those brand new products get shipped over to the Golgi. The Golgi is like the finishing department. It tweaks them, sorts them, and then packages them up in these neat little bubbles to be shipped out wherever they need to go in the city.
Of course, any busy city is going to produce some trash, and that's where the lysosomes come in. These guys are the sanitation crew and the recycling center all in one. They're full of powerful enzymes that just chew up old parts or any nasty invaders. They've also got this really intense nickname, suicide bags, because if a cell gets too old or damaged, they can actually burst and digest the whole cell from the inside out. Pretty dramatic. All right, we've seen the border, the power plants, the factories, but who is running this whole operation? It's time to visit City Hall, the absolute command center of the entire cell. And here it is, the nucleus. It's usually the biggest thing in the cell, sitting right there in the middle. Every single decision, every order comes from right here. So what's inside City Hall? Well, only the most important thing in the entire city, the DNA. These are the master blueprints for everything the cell is and everything it will ever do. The nucleus reads these blueprints to give all the commands: when to grow, when to make copies of itself, what proteins to build. And it keeps those precious blueprints safe inside its own secure membrane, only sending out messages through special little gateways. So far on this tour, we've been looking at a perfectly healthy, happy little cellular city. But for our last stop, we need to talk about what happens when things go wrong. Because this is where understanding the cell becomes a matter of life and death. And this right here is why all this stuff matters so much. When the nucleus loses control and cells just start dividing like crazy, that's cancer. When the shape of red blood cells is off, it can lead to conditions like anemia. When those little receptors on the cell's border stop working right, you can get diseases like diabetes. So many major health problems start as just a tiny little issue in one of these microscopic systems. So let's do a quick lightning round recap of our tour. You've got the cell membrane, that's border control. The nucleus is City Hall, the command center. The mitochondria are the power plants making all the energy. The ribosomes are the workers building proteins. The Golgi is the shipping department that packages them. And the lysosomes are the sanitation crew. See? Every single part has a critical job to do. And that brings our tour to an end. But I want to leave you with one final thought. Your body isn't just one city. It's a whole universe of about 30 trillion of them. And every single one of them is counting on you to provide the right resources, to protect them, to give them a healthy place to live. So, the real question is, are you a good mayor?